I want to record this for anybody going through a spiritual crisis. And it's been called by many names: midlife crisis, spiritual crisis, the void, nothingness, an existential crisis, just a general feeling of helplessness. And it's deeper than just having a bad day or having depression. It's something that's really hard to explain, but in a way it's just feels impossible. And I have had one. I'm here for you. I have a couple resources I want to list first, and then I will kind of just share a couple pointers to keep you hopefully sane for the next however long it's going to be. So I know some people that have gone through this for years, and mine was maybe 3 or 4 months of really, really intense, and a couple years leading up to that 3 or 4 months before everything broke. And what I attribute it to is an ego death. That's what a lot of people call it. So it seemed like it actually felt like mild psychosis or going insane. Like there was no meaning. I hated everything. I didn't even hate anything because that didn't matter. Like hating or loving was the same feeling. There was nothing that gave me any sort of help or pleasure. Counseling just made it worse because the counselor had no idea. He didn't understand what I was trying to explain. And even if he could help, then it's deeper than that. My thought would be, well, like, who cares? Even if you help me, then I'm helped, and the world is still pointless, and I hate everything. So it's so deep that it feels like just meaninglessness or nihilism, or the void is what I've heard it called. So I had a couple YouTube channels that, I only had one at the time that I found helpful, but then later I found 2 more. So I will say the most helpful YouTube channel, who she is actually, she's been through it. She was a Mormon, and then she deconstructed, and then she was a Christian and deconstructed, and really slipped into the void and got kind of stuck there for a while, and got, from what I understand, she kind of ended up in a almost suicidal, maybe suicidal stage, but didn't because she has kids. Anyway, she now has a channel called No Nonsense Spirituality. Her name is Britt Hartley. She calls herself an atheist spiritual director. Really helpful if you are going through the type of crisis that is coming out of a religion or deconstructing a religion. Also helpful if you're having a crisis that is similar to an ego death, because I feel like she understands that, although she may not be in that category of like spiritual awakening. The next one, which is very much spiritual awakening, her channel is called Kundalini Awakening and Embodiment. She is a wonderful person, very loving, and she had this whole Kundalini awakening like 8 or 9 years ago. So she has plenty of experience and history to go on to share that's very helpful. And then there's another guy who's just really practical, really down to earth, and just covers all things spirituality. And his name is Yash, and he has a channel called Spiritual Renaissance. And then for men, if you want to get into the sexual side of spirituality, he has another channel called Beyond the Alchemy. Very good resources. I have really found a lot of value, and these 3 people are not putting up a front or trying to act a certain way. They're very authentic, they're very loving, and they're just real. So it's very helpful. Now I just want to share a couple things. If you are in the middle of a crisis where everything just seems helpless, meaningless, you are just stuck, you can barely keep it together. It feels like what I told a guy in an email, you're stuck on a life raft in the middle of the ocean with no motor. Like you can't get anywhere. It wouldn't matter if you tried to get somewhere, you're just stuck. And you can't relax and let the waves take you, because you just feel like, well, no matter what I do, I'm gonna die. Like there's no exit. So if you are in this place, my first bit of advice that I wish somebody had told me when I was in this place is don't do anything stupid. Don't quit your job. Don't burn your bridges with relationships. Don't throw out journals and books. God, I did all the dumb things that I wish I didn't now, looking back. Don't cut out relationships. Just pause. Just wait. And try to simplify your life as much as possible. If you can, just go to work. Go home. Drink some water. Go to bed early. I know it sounds like that's not going to help, but whatever is happening, whatever energy is passing through your system, whatever awakening is starting to push you into truth, all the things in your life that are falling apart, it's going to be, the reason you're in the crisis is because everything in you is resisting something that is true and something that is going to change you, whether you want it to or not. If you're in it, you're in it. You can't change it now. So at first, you just need to simplify your life. Stop watching these videos, turn me off, unsubscribe from me, I don't care. Listen to maybe a couple videos from the channels I mentioned, and then if that's too much, or you just at the point where your brain cannot take in any more information, like mine was, don't read any books, don't watch any videos. Just try to do as little as possible. I've heard it called a spiritual emergency by someone. And that's what it feels like. Just and number 2, I know this sounds bad. It's not isolating, but like, don't try to share this with your friends and family, because it actually made it worse for me. I tried to share what was happening, what was going on, and it made me feel more isolated and more alone, and it was just, it was not helpful. So if you can, maybe find one trusted person, maybe your spouse, maybe someone who will understand what you're going through, and share a bit with them. Number 3, do not do psychedelics. I know people use these to spiritually awaken or to expand the mind, but what's happening in a spiritual or existential crisis is you're already losing grip with reality because your ego is dying or being diminished, and you're resisting and you're struggling, and things need to change and things are changing, and it's really hard to find footing. And what psychedelics do is they kind of force you into an ego death, and they help you detach and disidentify from reality. But if you're already going through that sober, trust me, I did this in my panic mode. I thought, oh, mushrooms will help. They did not. They made it worse. I ended up in the fetal position on my bedroom floor for 2 days. What would usually be a fun, interesting, awakening experience ended up plunging me into the void even farther. So hold off on any kind of drugs. Try to be sober. And try to simplify your life as much as you can. Now, when it's not absolutely overwhelming, and you can sometimes think or feel into what's happening, then you can kind of gauge what this process, the spirit, the awakening, whatever it is leading you to change. Now, for me, I knew my marriage was not going to work, probably year 1, and I stayed married for 5 more years. Now, I knew from counseling, from trying, we did everything possible, and it was only getting worse. And my deep conviction inside was, just break it. Just stop. Just walk away while you still can, and salvage the friendship that's still there, and raise your kids separately while you're both getting healthy. But I resisted, and I actually needed to, in my spiritual crisis or breakdown of my ego, I actually did have to separate from my wife. So I moved out, and that is where everything happened. I was alone in an apartment, and that break had to happen because around her and my kids at the time, I was becoming worse, and the separation made it possible for me to feel my stuff and move through the process. Now, it's not true for everyone, but I'm just saying what happened to me. And then I also felt very strongly that I was to be completely sober. So I gave up everything. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I was drinking a lot of coffee at the time. I gave that up because my anxiety was getting worse. So I gave up caffeine. I mean, I was just eating beans and rice and drinking water and going to work. Now, what eventually happened was something inside of me broke open. All the trauma, all the stuff that was coming up, that I was resisting, that I was fighting, that was causing a lot of the crisis. I was finally alone enough and sober enough to just face it and feel it. And then it broke and it moved through my system. And I'm not saying it was pretty or linear. There wasn't step 1, 2, 3. It was just hit or miss, shotgun approach, tornado style. It was rough and ugly, but it finally happened, and all the emotions came through. And then I got up one day and realized I was okay, and I could make it, and I could go to work, and I started feeling better. And then I eventually slowly got back to reading and watching videos and, all the normal daily activities. But I've had a few emails, I've had a few people contact me in the middle of this crisis, and their mind is going crazy. And it often comes with suicidal thoughts, and it just feels like there's no way out. And it's crazy because internally you feel like you are just in a black space, and it's hard to even function and exist. But externally, there's nothing wrong. Now, there are real problems like anxiety and depression, and there are doctors and counselors and pills for certain things. But I'm talking about more of an existential, like a crisis of meaning, a crisis of who you are. So yeah, don't know if that's helpful, but if it is, I just wanted to make a video about that because I didn't know what to do. I felt lost. If anybody's going through that and sees this video, feel free to send me an email, and I can tell you kind of how I got through it. Might help, might not, but yeah, I understand. I feel you. And you just don't need to make any major changes unless you really feel pushed, like you have to do something. Then do it. Then take that action. But just try not to do anything. Like, there is this feeling of, I need to move. I need to get somewhere else. I need to change my job, my career. I need to, get in a new relationship or drop my current relationship, or like all these crazy ideas that your mind will come up with to try to escape the feeling. But what you really need to do is just feel it. And I get it. It feels like nothing. It feels like death. It feels like too much. And that's okay. Just give yourself some grace. Be patient. You don't need to do anything right now. And it won't last forever. A lot of times the awakening process, or when truth starts coming up in your body, or the other lady I mentioned, the Kundalini process, it comes up and it burns out all the stuff that's not real and that's fake and that you've built, that you think is your life, that's not your life. What's happening is it's getting rid of the old to make room for the new, and the new is what people call awakening. That getting rid of the old, although it's not you, you're identified with it, so it feels like you are gonna die, but you're not. It's the fake thought identified part of you that's dying. What's on the other side of this is absolutely beautiful and stunning, and I can say that because I've been through it. So take it from me, take it from these other YouTube channels that I have mentioned. There has been a lot of people that have gone through this process. Hang in there. It's not going to last forever. Thanks for watching, and contact me if you need anything.